Welcome to Dissecting Tyrone. I'm Jason.
I'm Brandon.
And this is Season 2, Episode 8, Tyrone Talk.
Yes, sir.
You know, we decided, we always come with the relationship stuff and the deep stuff and the things that make you think. We wanted something that was a little more lighthearted. So we decided to take today and just talk about what's in the headlines.
Right. And this episode, we have titled it Tyrone Talk. So periodically, I think what we'll start doing is just basically having these talks, talking about current events, what's going on, kind of keep up with the community, have you guys chime in. And we also mentioned at some point when we start going live with this, then we can get the interaction of our followers and see what happened.
Yeah, this is kind of like Freestyle Friday, the podcast edition.
Right. So don't cut us up if you know what I'm saying, if it ain't what you think, but we're going to make it work.
Yeah, and if you got an opinion, like always, we want the engagement. So jump in the comment section and tell us what you think about everything.
Right.
All right, so let's get it started, man. The big thing right now, at least in our community, is
Diddy versus 50.
Right, that whole Netflix special. Now, we were talking before we started recording. You said you didn't watch it yet?
I didn't watch it yet. I'm low-key kind of boycotting just because, like, we've seen Diddy's trial play out for at least the last 2 years now. Know what's kind of coming. I get it. This is a little bit more intricate. But I think it kind of sparks the conversation at what point, like, you only can kick a man when a man down is for so long. But I think we know 50 is a supervillain, and he's going to try to do whatever he needs to do to demolish whoever's in his path. But my biggest thing is karma's real, whether it's good and bad. So the karma that you put out, the energy that you put out, be expecting to get that in return, because if you got some skeletons in your closet that you didn't clean up, then it's only right somebody may get at you too. So
and see, before we start recording, I was saying that usually we agree on a lot of stuff.
Right.
That's some of the knock we get. Y'all agree on everything, but we're like-minded in a lot of areas.
Right.
This is one area I gotta disagree. Now, I do agree karma's real. I do agree that if you're gonna put it out there, you better make sure your closet is clean too. But I'm for putting it out there. You know, especially in our community, when it comes to sexual abuse, domestic violence, like these things are hidden and covered up so much in our community. There's so many people. There's a situation right now where a woman posted on social media and she says, I'm about to post this guy. He's beating this girl's ass, and, everybody thinks he's this good guy, and he's behind closed doors just whooping on her, just abusing her. Mm-hmm. And so she didn't put his name out there. She inboxed me about a couple of things, and she told me who he was, and I was like, I had no idea, no clue. But things like that stay hidden in our community so often, and so many times these people, because sometimes it's women too, but these people are allowed to victimize more people over and over and over again because everybody remains silent.
Oh, and I absolutely get that, and I don't condone any type of violence to anybody, whether it's sexual violence, whether it's physical violence, mental violence. I think the thing with this is it's been in the spotlight, and I think from a court perspective, we're seeing cut and dry, like what's happening. He's doing his time. I think this is just the icing on the cake per se, because it'd be one thing if nobody had touched this and we're just finding this out about, like, through 50's documentary. That's one thing. But since it's been in public eye, we've seen people kind of go down, people distance themselves, people move out the country because they were implicated in it as well. I'm just like, okay, at some point, what are we really doing here? Put it out, I guess. I mean, so what was your take on the actual thing?
Okay, so I did watch it.
Okay.
I tell people all the time, I'm not messy, but I'm nosy. So I like to know what's going on with everything. And furthermore, I do love 50. 50 is the king of petty, like his clapbacks and everything. And I could be a little petty at times. So I respect 50. He is the super villain, but he's also the hero to me, because that brother be clapping back viciously on people. But as far as the documentary goes, the reason why I liked it was because everything that we've heard about Diddy has been hearsay. The only thing we really saw was the video where he was kicking Cassie after he assaulted her in the hotel hallway.
Right.
Everything else was hearsay. Well, allegedly, let me say that closely, allegedly, Diddy was going to do his own documentary or movie or whatever, or maybe he was documenting for his own personal reasons. I don't know. But he had hired a photographer or videographer to follow him along and record himself on the phone during these court situations and, with his family and friends. And then they said allegedly he didn't pay the videographer. So that's how 50
50
was.
didn't.
No, Diddy.
Oh,
Diddy
okay.
paid the guy. Like most of this footage, even though 50 Cent put it out, most of this stuff was recorded with Diddy's permission at his request for his own purpose.
Got you.
But because he didn't pay the videographer, allegedly, 50 was able to get a hold of the footage.
Okay.
And so I think to me, the documentary was I don't want to say necessary, but it was eye-opening because these were words out of Diddy's own mouth.
Mm-hmm.
Like this was him on the phone. This was him talking to his children. This was him. It wasn't anybody else hearsay or what people heard. It was out of his own mouth. And I think that's what made it eye-opening to a lot of people.
Okay, I can see that, and I guess if it's coming from him, these are probably just, I guess, intimate. I'm assuming at some point these were gonna get out because if he had to pay somebody, it was gonna be a documentary.
Well, yeah, but see, here's the thing: when you record things, you control the narrative. So I'm assuming, and this is just my assumption. I'm assuming that Diddy was just getting footage, right? And then he was going to edit it for whatever purpose he wanted.
So this is just all the raw footage.
This is all raw footage.
That makes sense.
Right.
Okay.
So I'm sure if Diddy put it out, and maybe it was for his private collection, I don't know.
Yeah.
That was never expressed. But if he was going to put it out, I'm sure it would have went out in a way that didn't come out the way it did.
And it was favorable to him or in his light. So,
correct.
Okay.
Correct.
And I think the other thing, and obviously we know some of the, I mean, to be honest, it's almost like you really don't have to watch the documentary to understand what's going on because, you know, Facebook, Instagram, everybody's going to say it.
Yeah, they're talking.
I know the two big topics were Pac and then Biggie, something about the funeral. So basically him making Biggie's estate pay for his own funeral.
Right.
But then I'm also hearing conflicting stories like, no, that wasn't it. So it's the back and forth on that.
So what I heard was that 50 or the documentary was saying that Diddy had this big elaborate funeral, and then he took royalties that were due to Big's estate and used that to pay for the funeral. Notorious B.I.G.'s mother, I believe mother, or whoever's in charge of the estate, went on record.
It was his mom.
Said that is not true and accurate, and was actually offended that people would think that they're not smart enough to realize that if money was taken or missing.
Yeah, because his mom initially was the executive of his estate, but she recently passed within the last couple of years. So it's somebody now.
Yeah, whoever's in charge made that statement. I didn't remember who it was. They stated that Diddy and Bad Boy, the company, paid for the funeral.
Okay.
So I mean, that's if the estate is coming out and saying that, it's kind of hard to dispute that. So maybe Bad Boy paid for it, and people just assumed that because Biggie was a part of Bad Boy. I don't know. I'm not sure exactly how they connected that. The documentary said that he used Biggie's estate to pay for it, and Biggie's estate is saying that never happened.
So I think that's another reason why I'm kind of like on the fence about watching it, because it's like at the end of the day, if I ask myself, if I watch this documentary, what new information am I going to gain that I didn't already kind of know or heard chatter about? So I'm obviously the whole investigation that blew up with Puff with this sex trafficking and everything else. Boom, we knew that. We seen the trial play out. We already knew the whole incident with him and Pac. Like we knew he was lined up with Pac. So I guess we also knew some of the abuse that was going on. I guess you watching this, what new information did you actually gain from there?
For me, it was just more of insight. Okay, so like one thing was there was always rumor about him having a hand in Pac's death.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Well, allegedly, I've seen different documentaries on Pac's death and the investigation, so I already knew that there were some gang members that claimed Diddy had hired them and offered them $1 million, and the guy in between stole the money. I'd heard that story before. What I never heard before was I believe it was unreleased, but a song that was done in the studio where Diddy was doing ad-libs at the beginning, and he was like, "You mess with me, I'll put $1 million on your head." And it kind of lined up with what was being said about the $1 million that was put on Pac's head and things like that. And it was said, when you hear the song, it was said in a braggadocious way, kind of like, yeah, so it doesn't guarantee guilt.
Right.
But it's definitely like
but it's there.
If this is out here about you, why would you make those type of comments and statements?
And this is before social media. So imagine like what we have the technology today, something like that go viral, and it's 10 times worse. So yeah,
Right.
okay, I get that.
Or one thing, and this isn't related to the sex trafficking or the funeral or anything like that, but one thing that really stood out to me that I didn't like at all, and just made me look at Diddy a lot different, is when he got in trouble with this trial, he decided to go back to the hood, and get everybody. It's just like when Will Smith, slapped Chris Rock,
yeah.
and then all of a sudden now he wants to hang out with everybody, because as a people, black people are known to be very forgiving. Right. So it seems like sometimes when black stars that may have kind of forgot where they came from get in trouble, they always return back home to get that
To
love
their
and
people.
support. Yeah, because they know that we'll forgive them. We'll take them back.
Right.
And so Diddy is doing like a hood tour. He's shaking hands. He's taking pictures. And then as soon as he got in the car, he's like, quick, get me a bottle of hand sanitizer. And he sanitizes his hands. He's like, I just need to take a shower and just wash that off of me. And it was like, man, like these are the people that made you a quote unquote billionaire, that helped you, that bought the records that you were selling, that put you on top. And it's like now you need bum juice,
right?
To get the germs off of you, like that. Man, that really made me look at him different.
Yeah, and I look at anybody different like that because we've seen it not only with him, and again, like I said, I didn't see the documentary, but just hearing that, it disgusts me because again, when you quote unquote get it out the mud, and the people around you, your community, they all play a hand, and yes, maybe you just had one more opportunity, or you kind of had the blueprint to get to where you need to be at, but people got you there. It just wasn't on your own. And when you turn your back on them, that's the worst. And then you lose so much respect. You lose all of the momentum that you had. And we've seen it multiple times. We've probably seen it on a local level. We've seen it on a national level, just in general. People are who they are always. And when you get a little extra bread or get some fame, it just gets magnified. So if you're a good person, you can go in that dark end, but for the most part, if you're a good person, you're a good person. If you are not such a good person and you come up on this bread, you're going to continue to step on people's necks, and you don't even care until you get whatever taken from you, that fame or that money, and then now you want your people with open arms. So
yeah, and people always say, that money changes you. I don't believe that. I think it enhances whoever you already are.
That's a fact, yeah.
It enhances whoever you already are. So if you already a horrible person, it's going to make you even more horrible.
Absolutely.
If you're a loving, giving, caring person, usually it's going to amplify that. So it just amplifies who you are. But the thing with Diddy too was not, and when I say this, do not take this the wrong way. I'm not saying that if they were homeless people or something like that, then it's okay to get the bum juice off of you, or whatever it is.
Just germs in general.
Yeah, but these were regular people, just hardworking people, just walking out on the street. Like there'd be no reason. I wouldn't shake their hand and then go wash my hands to get the germs off.
Right. You wash your hands before you about to eat, but at the end of the day, if you pounding people up and pause, no Diddy.
Yeah, super pause. No Diddy. No Diddy.
But yeah, so no, if you out and about and you meeting your constituents in essence, or people that you supposed to be rocking with.
You're looking for support from these people.
Absolutely. That's the last thing. And I think, again, sometimes when the camera's on you too much, you forget the camera's on you and you're in your own element and who you are.
Or if you're the one who's having the recording done, you can edit that out.
Yeah.
If we make a mistake right here, I know that I can go back and edit that out. Right. So Diddy didn't know that this wasn't going to be edited by his people.
Right. So
hey. Yeah, so it's crazy. And ultimately, I will say this. Based on everything that I heard and everything that was said in the documentary and things from, everything outside of that, I believe he's guilty. And you know what really made me think he was guilty? And this is my opinion. What really made me think he was guilty or realize he was guilty or feel he was guilty was the fact that once he got convicted and they gave him a little over 4 years, everybody was excited. His lawyers celebrating, his family's dancing in the street, and they're all happy. And I would never, ever, ever think I would see somebody that happy who was innocent. Like when you dance and celebrate, and you're like, yeah, I know some people would be like, well, he's happy that he didn't get the 50. But I'm like, to me, I would be happy I didn't get the 50, but I would not be celebrating 4 if I did nothing wrong.
Right. And this brings up a bigger picture that I kind of wanted to talk about, is just the culture on basically using your power for not good, for bad. And we can look at different tracks, but let's look at just the entertainment industry within itself. So I believe, yeah, Puff, he's up there doing what he's doing, but just think of the other moguls who are on the back end that we really don't hear about, and they're so powerful that they snap their fingers and things get done. So if I'm a 50, if I got the bread, this is just my thought. I'm not going to wait. I could waste energy on exposing just one person. Why don't you expose the culture? And I think that's another reason why I'm like, okay, for me, I really don't need to watch it unless you're going to expose the culture, and we're going to try to put an end to this. And anybody who is taking advantage of somebody, now we can talk.
But see, I think a big part of that is that when you're a part of these industries,
right?
That's why you talked about kicking people when they're down. I think they feel like, okay, this person can't hurt me,
right?
So I can expose them, and their power is dwindled to where they can't come back and harm me. Right. But he knows if he goes after that big executive that's still in position, that now he's not getting the movies that he can put out. He's not getting
the power.
He's not getting all those things.
And that also tells me. So the funny thing about it, black folks are entertainment. We're from the sports. We're acting. We're all these different things, and it always boils down to collectively numbers and strength are going to outweigh oppression. And at some point, I just wish that collectively black folks can come together and say, okay, we've been done wrong for so long. What we got to lose? Let's start making this work.
Well, and being one of the biggest consumer groups in the world, we have the power to do it.
Right.
But for whatever reason, and we've always talked about this, we just can't come together.
Yeah, it's about organize. So you'll get a certain group of folks that can organize, but then after that, people are like, man, I got my job at stake. I got this at stake. Instead of just like, you know what? This is what this is. This is the only way it's going to stop. Why, like, let's organize in a way to where we're not truly exposing ourselves, but we do it in a way to where we can expose the wrong that's being done to people. So,
well, I think too, when you do expose things and you band together and you fight against something, at least temporarily, there's an L you take. Right now, we want the W in the long run, so that's why we fight. But there's an L you take. The civil rights movement, they took L's up front, beatings, hangings, lynching. They took L's up front. I feel like today people aren't willing to take that L.
Right.
Even if there's a bigger picture that leads to a bigger W, they not willing to take that L.
And I think it's also because if you look at it like the Fred Hampton and Martin Luther King and Malcolm X and Medgar Evers and all of these civil rights and 70s leaders, when all of these folks are at the pinnacle and they have the voice in the ear of the people, and they get knocked off, and then the next thing you know, all that momentum, the next person up is scared to be in that spot because it's like, I don't want that to happen to me, instead of just continuing that fight.
Well, prime example, we talked about Diddy. There's another headline story that was a little while back, Jeffrey Epstein.
Oh my goodness.
Right? So that's this huge thing, and I definitely believe that one. Like
he did it.
Yeah, he was definitely.
They all did it.
A pedophile. I even heard. I don't remember who said it, but there was an interview where this guy said, "I believe Jeffrey Epstein is the best." I can't think of the term when you are a blackmailer. He said, "I think he's the best blackmailer ever to live." And so when you look at that, you're like, yeah, how did this man? So this man was worth over $500 million, had one of the biggest
islands
properties in New York. Then he
yeah.
owned his own island. And when you look at it, he didn't invent nothing. He didn't create nothing. He didn't build anything. It's like, where did he get all this money? And then it says that he was in charge of people's finances. But when you look back and research it, he was a school teacher who was tutoring this very wealthy man, a billionaire's child. And somehow the billionaire put him in charge over his finances and then gave him over $100-something million to look over his finances. And then you hear that he's the greatest blackmailer ever. It's like, man, this man had some envelopes on people, right, and people were paying big money to keep these envelopes closed.
And I think then the story, what happens is he reaches a certain amount of power and gets the like stars, he gets politicians, the right people in play. Now he has the juice. So it goes from like, oh, I'm just getting this money here to now I'm controlling U.S. world assets, and I have you by, you know what I'm saying, whatever I got you by, and then now that's how the trafficking happens. That's how all these different things start happening.
And remember, when they raided that property in Manhattan, when they raided it, it was wired for video.
Right.
It was wired for it. So this man had a lot of stuff on a lot of people. And then when you see what happened in jail, and I noticed everything conspiracy theories, and some of us believe
allegedly.
Yeah, he hung himself.
Allegedly.
You know, so a lot of people feel like no, he didn't hang himself.
Right.
He was murdered.
Right.
Again, that's a conspiracy theory, but that's what a lot of people believe. So the question now is, the people he blackmailed are wealthy,
right,
powerful. Now he's dead. Who's gonna talk against that?
Right. And now, so what you're seeing in the courts from a federal perspective is now they're starting to bring charges on this current administration. And if you've seen, so unfortunately some key witnesses are quote unquote committing suicide. Other people are just maybe being paid off. And it's like this cycle, this pattern, because it's like keeping status quo is the key. And this Jeffrey Epstein is just a precursor from the Franklin credit scandal that we had going on here. So
I've read that book.
Yeah. Oh man, I remember watching the documentary. I remember like kind of getting entrenched with it, and it was sick. And right here in Omaha, Nebraska, and then now it's just like these different, I don't know what you even call them, but they learn from each other. They see, okay, well, what happened here? What went wrong? How can we improve this? How can we get this to the point to where now we make it quiet and we sweep things under the rug and we pay the right people off so we can perpetuate this forever? And unfortunately, I think it also boils down to people just power. They're just they want to control someone so bad and have anything on them and have their way with them. They create these ecosystems for villains to thrive like that.
Right. And you got to think of this too. What happened to all the evidence he had?
Oh my goodness.
You know, so let me ask you this. Are there possibilities for situations to where somebody gets a hold of this evidence, and instead of setting the truth free, now they become Epstein.
Right.
Now they become the blackmailer. They become the one that says, well, he got 500 million, I can get 500 million.
And that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
it keeps perpetuating itself.
It just keeps on going. It's a cycle.
Yeah, man. So, I mean, unfortunately, like I said, prayers to all the victims in this. Definitely. Epstein, to the Diddy, to the Franklin credit scandal, to all of even the scandals that go on and we'll never hear of. It's just so sad.
And I will say, that is the one thing, like all these different documentaries, the theories and everything going, that is the one thing I do like about it. It hurts to see so many people hurt and abused, but it also is good to see these cycles stop.
Right.
You know, and hopefully people get some type of justice. I know a lot of people that were victimized by Diddy don't feel like 4 years is justice, but getting a conviction and getting it exposed is some form of justice.
Especially when that person is one of the most powerful people in the industry.
Who felt they were untouchable.
Right. And was, in fact, untouchable. He was making people go get cheesecakes in New York.
You know what's crazy, dude? I was a rapper back in the day.
Uh-oh,
and
you got caught up?
Man, I remember watching. I used to like Bad Boy and all those guys.
For sure. We all did.
And I remember watching Making the Band, thinking, it could have been me. And I was like, I would have ran to New York for the cheesecake.
But just the stories, and it's crazy because, you know, we're in that culture to where we would rush home and try to watch Yo MTV Raps, 106 & Park, all these different things. But then a part of that, that's where that Making the Band came in. And then Diddy had like multiple different spinoffs, and we were all vested because it was entertainment. It was around our age group. But just think, when the cameras stop rolling from the public, the stuff that was going on versus to now, and then they're still alive, and some are talking, some are keeping their mouth shut. It's just so sick and sad that these things, you have to do certain things in the industry to get ahead. And if you want to protect yourself, then you're not getting the limelight, which, what did they say? What Cat Williams say? I'm going to have a virgin butthole, and that's what you need to be having. So,
well, and it's crazy too, man, just to watch grown men break down and cry and say that they were violated. And,
right.
You know, Mark Curry, that was on the documentary, he used to be an artist on Bad Boy. Just watching him cry, saying, man, he's going to get the things that are coming to him. You know, watching Lil Rod, you know, talk about how Lil Rod was a producer that filed suit against Diddy, and he was saying that he'd go to sleep with a woman and wake up like in a different, like days, like he'd been drugged with his butt hurting with Diddy laying next to him.
I ain't trying to laugh, but so I also think, because I remember the story with Terry Crews with him saying that an exec groped him, and Terry Crews is a big dude, and he didn't want to mess up his career. But at some point, what are you willing to sell? Are you willing to sell your soul to get ahead? I don't know. For me, money, it boils down to that. Money, like, I don't need money that bad for me to sell my soul.
What did you do to get on this podcast? That's the question.
We had a phone call conversation that said,
hey, well, you know, we're joking and making light, but there is no joking about, you know, sexual essay. You know, I hate that too. I hate that they be like essay.
Yeah,
it's sexual assault.
It is.
You know, and I know that the internet wants to blur that out and things like that, but let's stop.
That's a part of the problem.
That's a part of the problem. Everybody wants to be, you know,
we censor things that don't need to be censored, and the stuff that should be censored is not getting censored.
Right.
And but again, I was going with the whole Terry Crews situation, and in these other situations, you were saying that Rod. I almost said Rod.
Little Rod.
At the end of the day, you still, I think as a man, you have to see what you align with, and there are signs. There has to always start off being signs, because it's a predator is going to see how far that they can go with you.
Definitely.
You know that we worked in the prison system, and whether it was an officer or whether it was an inmate. So it happens on both sides. And I think where I was going with this is, if you as an individual are seeking out some type of fame or whatnot, if you're an upcoming producer, you have to see where your morals and your goals are, and what you're willing to compromise, what you're not willing to compromise. If you standing on business and you start seeing some funny activity, and it's like, all right, you know what? Is it really worth this? Yeah, in hindsight, right now, it looks like I'm missing out on an opportunity, or, man, my dream is right here. But what are you giving up for that dream? And as a man, as a grown man, I'm not, like, with me, you have to say, okay, I'm not willing to compromise. And this ain't for me. This ain't my blessing. It sucks. It's going to hurt. But at the 20 years from now, I don't want to be on a documentary saying this and saying that.
You woke up with Diddy
saying
next
I woke up. And the crazy thing is, it's like, I think sometimes, I'm not saying these particular, but it's like almost like sometimes it's like, okay, you were enticed a little bit, you know what was up. So if you stuck around and you woke up in the morning and you did this multiple times, now you ain't a victim.
Because Little Rod did do it multiple times. So I saw a video where a guy was talking about it, and he was like, you know, hey, the first time I'll give you. Yeah, you. But second, third, fourth time.
Oh no, you was participating.
Yeah, he said you like it. I'll say this, my own personal story. So again, I've talked before, I used to rap.
Right.
I was a Christian rapper. I rapped about God, and back in those days, it was a niche market, so there wasn't a lot of Christian rappers out there. So I go to New York. There's an artist who had an album out on Jive Records called Crave named Mark Dorsey. Mark Dorsey, shout out to Mark. Man, Mark's an amazing guy. But Mark did independent A&R. So he would basically take artists he believed in and get them in the studios in New York and everything, get executives in front of them and try to get them deals. So I was one of the artists he was working with. I mean, he had execs from Sony, from Jive coming to the studio, coming to performances that he got set up for me in New York to perform after performances. And we're in regular clubs. This isn't like a church environment. Mm-hmm. We're in regular clubs. I'm performing at Nails, Underground Nails, Soul Cafe, which were big hot spots back in this time. And so when I'm getting done performing, I got people coming up to me all the time. Oh, man, that was so dope. I can't believe, and that's Christian and everything. And so I remember a famous singer's husband, who's her producer / manager, comes up to me and he's like, man, that was so tight, man. That was so good. Now, are you a Christian or are you just a rapper? And I just kind of looked at him like that. Or he said, are you a Christian or you write gospel music? He said, are you a Christian or you write gospel music? And I just kind of looked at him and said, well, I'm a Christian that does gospel music. And he said, man, because I'm about to tell you, man, Mark, tell him I'm the tightest mother effing gospel, Christian writer in the industry. So he wrote Christian music for artists. He produced a lot of music in general, but Christian music also, but had no Christian values. And so what I learned being up there, we would go to restaurants. People who would bring you your food had modeling contracts. You know, people that were working back in the kitchen had record deals. These things that in Omaha, we looked at like, if I just get the record deal. But I didn't realize that in the business of this, you could have two artists that sound similar. They'll give both of them record deals, and shelf this person just as a tax break so that they don't affect this person that they really want to put all the money and belief into.
Right.
You know, so just getting the deal
Did they do that with A. Marie?
I don't remember. A. Marie, they actually released a project.
Yeah, she did.
Yeah,
but then
so,
after that, it was almost like they shelved her.
Yeah, possibly. You never know what goes on behind all the scenes. But the one thing I learned is that just getting the deal didn't mean anything.
Right.
You know, what I also learned is that you have to stand on who you are. Right.
Yep.
And that was why me and my manager decided to do it independently for the most part, because I didn't want to sell out who I was. Like a Sony exec told Mark, man, hey, if this dude wasn't doing Christian, he would have already got signed.
Right.
You know, but I'm like, this is what I do. This is who I am. Like, I don't just rap Christian rap to rap about God because there's the rappers on the Christian side ain't as good, so I can blow up easier. It wasn't a business decision for me. It was a lifestyle. Like, right. I rap Christian because I was a rapper that gave my life to God and didn't want to stop what I felt was a gift. And you learn that, like, and this is at a small, like, not even in the industry level. This is me trying to get in the industry. And you learn quickly that you have to decide what's more important to you, making it or your values.
And that's the whole point. Like I said, when I was going back to that, but something that you brought up it was kind of funny, like a sidebar. If you remember the Jamie Foxx show, shout out to Jamie Foxx. He was a singer working at his aunt and uncle's hotel. But there was a couple episodes, one in particular, where this guy, Lucius, was played by Ed Lover. He was like this music mogul or whomever, and they had this guy called Baby Hair. They were using Jamie Foxx's vocals for Baby Hair, who couldn't sing, and it was like that whole like
the Milli Vanilli.
Yeah, like the Milli Vanilli thing, and then he pulled the plug and was like, well, you could have been rich and say this, and he was like, yeah, but I don't want to. It was basically something about like his values. He didn't want to overshadow his values and be a fraud and be a lie, and he'd rather take the L and do it his way. So that story that you brought up kind of reminded me of that episode. So
yeah, because it's real. Like, I mean, those things happen. And furthermore, let me say this before we go any further. Because we talked about Diddy and Epstein, if you are a victim of sexual abuse, sexual assault, domestic violence, there's a lot of numbers out there. I don't have any with me right now that I can share, but please Google, search, look up those numbers and get some help. There is help for you out there, and don't feel like you're alone. There's somebody out there that wants to help you escape those situations.
Right, absolutely. We do. That's something that we do not play about. I don't play about the little kids or anybody in general. So yeah, like I said, find somebody who you may trust, talk to them, help them through this, help them get you through the situation. Make the necessary phone calls, file complaints, anything that you need to do, because nobody should be a victim of anything. So
right, I agree. What else is going on in the news that we want to talk about?
Man, let's get to Shedeur Sanders, man.
Shedeur Sanders. We're men. It ain't gonna be right unless we talk about some sports stuff.
Absolutely, man. So Shedeur Sanders, one of his dad is one of the GOATs in defensive as a defensive back. Me, I modeled some of my game when I played football off of Deion Sanders, but
we all did. He was the GOAT.
Yeah, Neon Deion.
Yeah,
for sure. So, like yesterday, Shedeur Sanders was on the verge of winning his first game. He ended up throwing the go-ahead touchdown. So all they had to do was they still needed to convert a 2-point conversion. And he did his little small celebration. He kind of prayed in the end zone with one of his wide receivers. Went back so they can start getting ready for the 2-point conversion, and his coach said, nope, get out of there. They put the running back in place of where Shedeur Sanders is supposed to go, ended up blowing up the play, and they lost by 2 points. And now people are saying, like, what's going on? To be honest, I watched Sunday Night Football last night. Nobody brought it up. Nobody brought it up, which is it's ridiculous, because at a bare minimum, they should start questioning that coach and what his ulterior motive is. Like, what are you really trying to gain by shipping him? Is this something that's coming from the coach? Is this something that's coming from the organization? Or is this something that's coming from the league? And it could be a combination of all three. And I think the overall goal is to put someone, quote unquote, in their place if they think that they are too big for the program, which is ridiculous. If the kid can ball. My Niners whooped him last week, but outside of that, I'm rooting for Shedeur, and I think that was just that was a tragedy, that what they did to him yesterday, and didn't even give him an opportunity to win the game.
And not even just the starting quarterback. He was on fire.
Right.
Over with 350 yards
Yes.
passing,
Cooking.
four touchdowns. Like
Cooking.
he's on fire, and you don't give him that opportunity. They
Yeah.
said the only other rookie quarterback to have a game with that type of stat line was Joe Burrow.
And they let Joe Burrow got the keys to the Cadillac, and he's a great quarterback. And it's the thing, when your teammate or your quarterback is legit, when you have veteran players basically vouching for you, saying like, "Hey, no, that's my rookie. I'm putting my arm around him. I'm fighting for him." When you got the team like that, but your coach doesn't believe that's a him problem.
Well, and I think Kaepernick's lawsuit proved that collusion happens in sports.
Yep.
And I think this was collusion.
Absolutely.
Because there's no way possible. You can't tell me another point in history where you've seen a projected top 5 pick, for sure top 10 pick, right, drop to the 5th round and get passed up by so many teams that need quarterbacks. That's why I kind of like the fact. I don't want to say like, because I'm not happy somebody got hurt.
Right.
But I think it's interesting to see so many quarterbacks go down where they could have used his services.
Yep.
And now it's biting them that they passed on him. But so many teams that could have used quarterback. My Steelers, we could have used them. I would have loved to have had him.
Yeah.
But so many teams passed him up for him to be drafted in the 5th round by the one team that allegedly he said he didn't want to play for.
Right. And that's just crazy all the way around. And I did like the fact that his dad's always there to support him, but you can kind of see this rift because he's prime time and the things that he's going through in Colorado, or he's went through at the University of Colorado, turning that program around. This year they're not doing too hot, but he still brought so much revenue to that school, more revenue than they've ever seen, and now they talking about they can't pay the man. So with that looming, the NFL maybe not feeling a certain way about him, and then his son. And like I said, the only celebration that he would do was just flash the watch. Notice it's a kid from is it the Giants? It's somebody, I think maybe the Giants. He's basically the polar opposite of Shedeur Sanders, or not the polar, almost the same carbon copy of Shedeur Sanders. Has the free reign to do anything. He's celebrating. He's doing this. He's doing
Dart.
that. And
Talking about Dart.
Yep,
Yeah.
Dart. And he's a good dude. And
Good quarterback,
good
too.
quarterback. And it's like you can compare these two, but one's getting an opportunity, the other one's not, and it is what it is.
Right. And another thing, too, that makes me feel like it really is collusion, like they're just trying to prove a point with him, is all the obstacles.
Right.
You draft another rookie quarterback.
Yep.
You start both of those, the main quarterback who they traded later, and then the rookie quarterback over him. Then he finally gets his opportunity, plays well, is on fire, has a stat line that ain't been seen since Joe Burrow. Then you get him down there, and it's the game on the line, 2-point conversion, and you're going to try to do a wildcat?
Man, and that was it was horrible. Like I looked at that play, and I said, who designed that and who authorized it? They should be fired ASAP.
No, 100%. I pray that Shedeur, sticks with it and just keeps proving everybody wrong.
Right. And like I said, his stats speak for itself. He's going to continue to grow and get better and apply pressure. And he's going to, some point, if he keeps doing what he's going to do, he's going to force their hand to make a tough decision. If you trade him, guess what? Be ready to get that get back, because when he gets on a team that really wants him, it's a wrap.
Yeah, and you know what they say, man, cream always rises to the top.
Absolutely.
So especially if he truly is putting God first, then, at the end of the day, he's going to rise to the top.
So shout out to Dion, shout out to Shedeur. Hey, do your thing.
Definitely. Speaking of God.
Yes, let's get into it.
Hey, listen, I don't know if this is a hot topic or not, but I put a post up. So there's a internet personality named B. Simone. B. Simone did an interview, and they asked her in the interview, I don't know what prompted the question, but they asked her in the interview, which would you take, $1 trillion or 10 minutes with Jesus? So she said she would take the $1 trillion, and I guess the internet laid into her. Mm-hmm. So I shared the post, and I said, man, I'm taking the 10 minutes every time. Why did I do that? Tell me why I did that. Well, it wasn't necessarily cooking me. You can't cook me in that decision, right? Because I'm taking the 10 minutes every time. I don't care what anybody else
for
say.
sure.
But yeah, they were like, people were on there calling people liars. And one friend of mine who's a good person, I have nothing bad to say about them, but they were just like, you Jesus people, or shoving it down people's throat. And man, it sparked a debate that I never saw coming in my life.
And I think the thing about that, and in the like posts or opinions in general, it's like you can't win for losing. Like, unfortunately, it's so much division. if you choose you said it was $1 billion?
Trillion.
If you choose the $1 trillion, then you're going to get jumped. If you choose 10 minutes with God, you're going to get jumped. So I think at the end of the day, you state your piece, you say what you're going to say, and then you just keep it moving. I mean, we can't take and again, like the likelihood of that actually happening is slim to none. So it's almost as if like some people are arguing for the sake of arguing. It's like, well, what are you doing? This is a situation that is a once in a lifetime deal. So kind of chill.
Well, and here's my thing. My thing is there's really no wrong answer. Right. Because both are life changing. Both $1 trillion would change my life. $10 million or 10 minutes with Jesus would change my life.
Right.
You have to decide which one would change yours more. For me, it would be the 10 minutes with Jesus. Like, I just can't even imagine like I said, there's stories in the Bible where somebody was bleeding 12 years with some disorder and it wouldn't stop. They went through the crowd, put their hand out and just touched the hem of his garment and were healed. Mm-hmm. So like, what would 10 minutes with sitting down with Jesus do for me? I don't know. I don't know if there's any sickness or illness in my life would be different having 10 minutes with Jesus. And to me, that would be more important than money. However, I've never been a money motivated person anyway. Like I'm poor now and I'll give somebody my last knowing I ain't got it, because money's never, ever dictated my life. We all need it. I need to be better at money. But it's never dictated my life. So I'm always going to take the 10 minutes. Other people were saying, give me the $1 trillion because I already know God. I spend time with him every morning, prayer and all the things, which I'm not debating or doubting.
Right.
But I just feel like my 10 minutes spiritually with God and 10 physical minutes with Jesus is just different.
And, I think that my take on that
well, let me ask you this before you get into your take.
Yeah.
Which one would you take?
Man, I probably rock with God. I mean, I'll pray to him all. So here's the thing with me. Like, I've always been a spiritual person. So you got the religious type, you got spiritual. So, yeah, I have a religion, but I'm more spiritual, more in tune. So being able to have that moment with God in clarity, because, like, right now, like, I pray all the time. And I think I know all the blessings that I've been given, it starts with him. I'm manifesting it, and then everything I work to plan in myself. So, yeah, I would probably say 10 minutes with God, and we just go from there because, I mean, I can get to the money. That's the easy part.
Yeah.
So, but it also sparks up, in my mind, people who say, oh, man, I wish I win the lottery. I wish I had $1 trillion, all this other thing. If you don't have financial literacy, I don't care how much money you have. You're going to find a way to trick it off.
Yeah. Well, and you know what somebody else pointed out to me? They were like, if you had 10 minutes with Jesus, and you would still be rich financially. All you'd have to do is write a book or a movie about it. You know how many people would pay to hear your story or read your book, or I'd have a podcast called 10 Minutes.
So is this 10 minutes with God recorded or 10 minutes with God in private? Like, what is it?
Well, if Diddy there, it's gonna be recorded. But he ain't gonna pay the videographer.
Then he gonna say, take that,
take that, bad boy. No, I don't know. But, and I'm not saying you should monetize or capitalize off of your 10 minutes with Jesus. Some people would feel that's wrong.
Right.
I'm just saying that if ultimately the goal is riches, you can still be financially wealthy.
Yeah, because if you look at it, so this 10 minutes can go any type of way. It can go from getting some spiritual food. It can go from like, hey, these are the things that I'm thinking about doing. Like, can you give me direction? And that's the cheat code right there, because he's going to tell you how to get to what you need to get to.
He's the source.
Right.
But I'll be honest, this was my take on it. I believe if I had 10 physical minutes with Jesus, right, I don't think I'd care about $1 trillion anymore.
Yeah, because it's going to be the least of your worries.
Yeah, it'd be the least of my worries, man. And I think no matter how saved or spiritual you are, I think at different times in our life, maybe not consistently, but at different times in our life, there's always a question like, am what I'm following right? Is this the right thing? Is this true? Or, there's sometimes doubt can creep in. 10 minutes removes all doubt.
It does,
like if I had it's like remember the bracelets everybody had, the What Would Jesus Do bracelets?
I remember those, yeah.
Yeah, this would be like an internal What Would Jesus Do bracelet on my heart. Like I just had 10 minutes with Jesus. How can I go out here and snake my brother or stab my sister in the back?
But I would also say on the flip side of spending that time, so we assume someone has the spiritual acumen to be able to talk to Jesus. So, like, for example, if Jesus, this person or this spirit, this being comes into your life, not everybody may be prepared or can receive him that way. So you also have to look at it from their perspective. Maybe all they see is like they can resonate more with the money, unfortunately. And I won't even say unfortunately, because that's just what people's preferences are. So we got to look at it from both sides. Like, somebody may not be able to, if he's in the room, like, what do they even talk about?
True. And that's why I said I don't feel there's a wrong answer.
Right.
You know, and then you had a lot of people saying, I'm going to take the money. Could you imagine all the people I could help? True. Most of y'all ain't helping nobody, though. If we keep it real, most of y'all are looking for a house or a car. And, you know, but there's a lot of people I'm sure would give a lot and take care of a lot and do. Like, if I did take the money, there's a lot of people I would bless, and I would do whatever I felt God put on my heart to do for others. So I get that aspect, too. People are thinking about, you know, my 10 minutes with Jesus is going to help me. $1 trillion, I can help so many.
Right.
You know, so I do get both sides. The only thing I didn't like was the people that were attacking other people for their choice.
Right.
Like, people like would pick the money and they're like, oh, you're dumb. You know, or they would say, I'm going to take 10 minutes with Jesus. You're stupid. He's not even a real man. And I'm just like, you know, and first of all, and if you're not a Christian, then you take the money all you want to. Take it every time. You know, I believe in God. I believe in Christ, you know, so all these things. So, and again, even if you believe in Christ and you take the money, I'm not saying you're wrong or you're going to hell or you chose money over Jesus. I'm not saying that. For whatever reason, that was the right choice for you.
Right.
All I'm saying is, for me, I'm taking the 10 minutes every single time.
I feel you. Okay.
Every time.
Okay. Yeah. I guess, So I guess outside of that, man, what else we got?
I don't know, man. What else has been going on in the news, man? Anything good?
It's always something, man. I know with politics, you got some stuff coming down the pipeline. I think kind of getting back to the Epstein, they're supposed to be hiring somebody to start pushing some papers through. I can't think of the lady's name, but
well, I will say this, and I don't want to make it a political debate because, you know, that can
go south.
That can go south real far. But if Donald Trump is a part of these Epstein files and everything,
oh, he's cooked.
Well, is he? Because this man done put everybody in position. Like, the people that would be trying the case are his people. The people bringing the case forward is his people. Like,
I say
he done put everybody in place to make sure he's okay.
No. Initially, I say he's cooked now because look at how many of his staunch followers have distanced themselves because they see the writing on the wall. There's two sides to it. They see the writing on the wall, number one. Number two, maybe they call them like lame ducks, so they can't be up for re-election. So now they're going to say any and everything that they need to spill the beans, basically. So I think we're seeing that shift right now, and I think the bubble is about to pop. I think it's just a matter of time. I think this new formed administration that should be taken, I think around January, they kind of start taking office. It's going to look totally different than what it did this year. And I know he's sweating at the end of the day. So I think his time might be coming. I could be wrong, but I think it's coming.
If there is another election, you know, there's a lot of people that think
that he'll win again.
Not that, because he can't run again.
He'll be more so a dictator.
Yeah, basically, you know, and I've heard conspiracy theories that the whole conflict with Venezuela is because he wants to control the oil that they have, that they could produce. I don't think they're producing it, but they have the ability to produce, to be one of the top oil producing places. So he wants his hands on that oil, and he wants to start a conflict so that it's a time of war when it's time for re-election, and he doesn't have to leave.
Right, and
you think that's slide on. You think that's a possibility?
Valid. It's definitely valid. However, I don't think the generals who would actually start orchestrate. I think it's a split. Some of them may be with it, and then there are some of them that aren't. And if they're not collectively together, I don't know how much he can do. I mean, because they try to cause a scene with the drug lords or the boats. And I think some of the victims survived, and then they came back and knocked them off. But then the crazy thing is, you just let a drug lord go, and it's like, make this make sense. Okay, are you having a war on drugs, or are you just trying to create a war for your narrative?
Yeah, and there's a part of me that believe, and I'm not a Trump supporter, let me say that, but I am a supporter of the country, so I don't want to see him fail. I want to see him succeed in a positive way, because I don't want to see the country crumble. But the stuff that he does is just so mind-blowing to me, and to see so many intelligent people make excuses to support it. I remember, I don't know if it was Jimmy Kimmel, but one of those late shows was on the streets asking people that were Trump supporters.
Oh, that's Jimmy Kimmel. He
was like, hey, Obama did XYZ or Biden did XYZ, and they listed all these bad things.
And they tearing them up.
And they're tearing them up like, yeah, that's why we should have never had them, and it's going to change now. And then they said, oh, I'm sorry. Donald Trump did those things.
Now they tuck tail.
Well, you got to understand, that, and I'm like, how are y'all backing off of some of these things?
Right.
And dude, there's never been a president or a politician ever that I supported that I agreed with everything they do. And you mean to tell me that the majority of y'all agree with all, like, you're making excuses for all these things that he's doing? Like, you shouldn't follow anybody that blindly beside Jesus, beside God, to where they can do no wrong and everything they do is right, even when you can clearly see it's wrong.
The problem is, I think Trump has given and has gave people a false sense of hope, meaning they can resonate with this man and they're like, oh yeah, he's gonna do this and it's gonna feel great. But then he gets in office and he's doing the complete opposite, and now you're feeling the heat even more than the people that were already oppressed. Now you're starting to feel that oppression heat, and either they're mostly likely they're silent, because I've seen the area that I live, I've seen a lot of flags flip from Trump flags to just United States of America flags, the regular flag. So it's funny. It's like, okay, well, why don't you still fly this flag like you were doing at the beginning of the election, which it is what it is. You support who you support. But when it starts affecting the bottom dollar, the bottom line, and people start seeing you for you, they start connecting the dots, and they say, you know what? I don't care who you vote for. All I know is 47, what is he, 47 now? He was 45. Now he's 47, is doing so much bad and undoing in this country, creating division. Since I don't want to support that, I'm not going to support your businesses anymore. And that's how you get people to kind of shift, and they're like, oh, no, I can't have this. You can't know who I'm voting for now. And it's like, I like it out in the open.
I do agree with that.
If you stand on business, because now I know where you coming from. You know where I'm coming from. We choose not to deal with each other. But the thing that I don't like is when you have like this closet, and I'll call it for what it is, this closet racism that basically it goes from, okay, I'm your buddy, I'm going to shake your hand, but then now you want to stab me in the back. I don't think that's cool at all. So
right, and let me make it clear, I don't think every Trump supporter is racist.
No, absolutely not.
I think you have different
have levels
groups
to it. Yeah,
right,
and you got people who voted Democrat who I would say that, like, in my opinion, when you look at it, Democrat, Republican, in my opinion, at a federal level, it's all the same. It just depends on how your messaging is. And at the end of the day, if they're behind closed doors trying to get this bread, secure legacies for their family, we're not privy to that. We don't see any of that. So then it becomes the haves and the have-nots. And that's where I think earlier we were talking about working together collectively, being able to organize, doing things that are right for the community collectively. That's the only way that we're going to survive as a people, is coming together, white, black, green, blue, whatever you are. If you down for the cause and you down for the people, that's what it's going to be. Like Fred Hampton said, the power's in the people. So that's what we got to do.
No, I definitely agree. And I will say it is good to see him get called out on more things by people that did previously support him. And again, I'm not trying to tell people that they should not like him or like him, whatever. Feel how you want to feel. Like you said, vote for who you want to vote for. But wrong is wrong, and it's always going to be wrong.
Yeah.
When you got ICE and agencies running around. You know how many videos I've seen where they chasing down American citizens
now? Because it went, and unfortunately, and even with that being said, at the end of the day, my take on this is, if we have quote unquote illegal people over here, why is it? And they don't even say illegal; they just say immigrants. And you can see the division within inside of that, because there are a certain sect of immigrants that they go after, but there are so many different flavors of immigrants that if they're in alignment with whatever values, you don't hear anything about them, and they're cool, they're accepted. So for you to go first start off with that, and then you flip it, they had a young high school man getting out of high school, American citizen, and ICE was outside because this was a known, quote unquote, I think Hispanic school. They're literally are trying to grab this 15-year-old, cuff him up. And I'm like, well, what are you doing? How do you even know? He's like, what are you doing, man? I'm just getting out of school. And I think they detained him. They had to let him go. But do you know how scary that is for people?
But that's always their excuse too. Is well, they were only detained for an hour.
Exactly.
They would let go.
That's crazy work.
Hey, listen, as in our community where we know what it's like to be harassed by officers and get in trouble for things you didn't do, and that's not a saving grace that they let me go,
because you don't know what their intentions are, and you feel like you're captured and this is it.
And they can do it again anytime they want to. So how traumatized are you that it's going to happen again? That there was a story to where ICE shot a woman because they said she was ramming their car and chasing them down, whatever, and they shot her. And they, through their investigation, the government investigated. So this is a government investigation where they found out that the ICE agent actually rammed her car. And then when he shot her, he was texting other agents in a group text about how well of a job he did and how he placed the shot so perfectly. Like, it was absolutely sickening. And they were charging the woman because she didn't die. They were charging her with terrorism because she was attacking an ICE agent. And then they had to drop all the charges because the video evidence showed that the agent was the one in the wrong.
So just imagine the video that we didn't have from what 99, 2000, what 2010 on back. All the video that you don't have, and the innocent individuals. And yes, not everybody's going to be innocent, but at the end, there are a lot more innocent folks that have been done wrong than non-innocent, and it's just so crazy, man.
And even if you are going to implement a system like this, okay, let's say you feel like as the president, this is the best thing we can do because we got to get the people that are committing crimes or whatever out of our country. Okay, let's say you are going to implement that. Why can't it be more like a warrant system?
Right.
Like in Nebraska, if there's certain warrants where they're going to come looking for you, but the majority of warrants is, hey, if you have an encounter with the law, we're going to arrest you because you have an outstanding warrant.
Right.
So if you're going to say, hey, we want to get rid of undocumented people, why not have a system to where, like, hey, if you come across a situation with the law or you come into contact with this agency or different things and they find out you're undocumented, they're going to, kick you out of the country, okay? But just driving down the street, and I'm not saying I agree with that. I'm just saying if you're going to have a system for that, why not have it be a little more like that
more
versus
logical. Driving
down the street in jump out vans and having 4-5 people jump out on or anybody who and they always seem to say, oh, it was somebody we were looking for. If you know who the undocumented immigrants are,
you should know.
Why ain't you going to go get them? Why are you jumping out on people?
Because it's a tactic they use in black communities for decades.
That's the point I'm making.
The description.
That's the point I'm making.
And the description can be anything. Heck, you can say I'm 5'10" and I'm my skin complexion, and I don't look like this person.
We did an episode, Driving While Bud, right?
Yeah.
And I told y'all, me and my two friends, Mark and Marcus, were walking down. We lived in Miller Park. We're walking down the street. We get pulled over. We're walking and got pulled over by the cops. They pulled up on us, had us sit down, and they said we fit the description of some guys that were involved in a shooting or robbery, whatever it was. And we said, we fit the description, huh? What they look like. And the cop literally looked at us and just described on what we had as he looked at us. So it's like one had on a blue jacket with jeans and just like went down the list. If they want to say you fit the description, you could fit the description.
And any narrative, so that's the thing. The powers that be, their narratives always trump anything.
Right.
And it's like they change the rules on the fly. And that's the thing that is so inconsistent about this administration, about this world in general, is being able to change the terms and conditions on the fly. And if you move this goalpost a little bit, now I have another one up on you, and that needs to stop. And I think collectively as a people, we're gonna have to figure out some stuff to make this stuff stop.
Right. And let me just point my stance on this, just so it's clear, because I do work a job where I want to protect my job.
Oh, both.
So always be careful about what I say. But let me make my stance clear, right? I believe that we are the land of the free, right? I believe there's a saying on the Statue of Liberty that talks about welcoming everybody into the doors of the U.S., right?
Absolutely.
So I believe that people should have the opportunity to come here and be free and have a better life. Now, if you want to put some restrictions on that so it's just not the floodgates open, I'm okay with that. But if you're saying that you want to decrease the illegal quote unquote illegal immigrants here, stop making it so hard for them to get here where they have to be illegal.
Right.
You know, the process to become a U.S. citizen is not as easy as most people think it is, and it's a lot more expensive than people think it is. And you make it so hard for somebody who just wants to come live a better life. Like at the end of the day, make it an easy process, and I don't think we'd have so many people just sneaking through the gates.
But and then we'll wrap this up. But lastly, I think it still boils down to being able to shape the narrative and move the goalposts. Because if you remember, the only reason for this quote unquote ICE task force was to get rid of the violent offenders.
Right.
So it went from violent, and it's like, where those gangs hang out, so you can go directly after them, clean whatever you need to clean up. But then it start creeping up into citizens who maybe weren't in support of the administration or whatever. If you've spoken out on the administration, now you're on the hit list. Now you're a part of the target. Now we're going to come get you. And I think that's where it needs to stop. And again, if you're going to have some type of immigration reform, do what you need to do. You're the powers that be. You run the country, but do it in a way to where you have logic, you have true thought, provoking thought, and you execute and do what you do, and you stand on business with it. But stop moving the goalposts or changing the narrative to make it fit. Like if somebody didn't vote for you, then now they're on your hit list. It's ridiculous.
Right. And you know, one thing I've heard for years, when minorities, when we talk about blacks, when we talk about racism and everything like that, so many people are quick to tell me, I don't see color. I don't see color. I don't see color.
And that's the problem.
It's not about race. It's the human race, right?
Mm-hmm.
But now when they want people kicked out of the country, they see color.
Right.
They see color then. It ain't about the human race anymore. And I don't care if you're an illegal immigrant, if you're a legal immigrant. I don't care if you're black, if you're white, if you're rich, if you're poor. If you're a person, I'm going to treat you like a person. Right. I'm going to treat, if you're good to me, I'm going to be good to you. If you're nice to me, I'm going to be nice to you. I'm going to treat everybody with respect and dignity. And the fact that we don't do that and we justify it by saying they don't belong here is crazy to me.
That's the problem. We see green. It's about green. That's what it boils. Unfortunately, that's what it boils down to. So.
Definitely.
Yeah.
But, y'all going to get me hyping into this. So we already over our time a little bit. So we're going to stop right there. But, I had fun with this episode, and hopefully we continue to do this.
I think we definitely will continue to do this, the Tyrone Talk, just to kind of break up the monotony a little bit. And I think, we got a nice little format going.
Yeah, definitely. Is there anything you want to end with before we go?
Man, shout out to the North Omaha Visitor Center. I was at an event Friday. Mr. Preston Love, congratulations on your grand opening. It was a dope grand opening. I think it's going to do great things for the community. So if you're in the community, the Omaha metropolitan area, or you're visiting, go check out the North Omaha Visitor Center. They got some great pastries in there. I think his wife, Miss Martha, her pastries, phenomenal. Them sweet potato pie, the little mini ones, fire. I'm going to have to get them. So, yeah, what about you?
Yeah, I'm going to check it out, too. And not to bring the mood down, but I think what I would like to end with, since we were talking about current events and everything, and one big thing about that is how these events are documented. Mm-hmm. And one of the greatest documenters of our city passed away recently.
Oh man,
Thomas Curry.
Rip to the goat of Omaha culture.
Definitely was, man. And me and Thomas didn't like go out and kick it or hang out, but that was my brother. Yeah. So when I saw him, it was all love, it was hugs, it was peace. Man, the brother always had a smile on his face.
Always.
Would always stop and take a moment to tell you about what he had going on and take pictures. And I don't know if his exhibit is still up at the Blue Lion
Center.
I
don't know if they may have extended it or something.
I'm not
happened.
sure.
Yeah.
If it is up, let's show up and show out for that brother.
Right. When was the last time you got a chance to see him?
The week prior.
Dang.
Yeah, I just saw him. And like I said, that brother, first of all, he's a big guy. Right, so when he give you a hug, it's like all the juices in your body, pause. It's like everything in you is being pushed out because that brother gave some love. But yeah, I had just seen him, man. That's why I was so shocked by it. And I don't know what happened, so I don't want to assume anything. But just overall, black people, let's take care of ourselves.
He's a good brother, for sure. Let's take care of each other, sure.
Take care of yourself. Go get checked out.
Yeah.
Go make sure you know what's going on within your body and everything like that. And take care of yourself. If that exhibit is still up, please go see it. I believe his funeral is this coming Friday, which is a day after our release. We drop our episode.
Okay.
Look online. It should be out there. Let's pack the place.
Yeah, for sure.
Let's pack the place and show love. I think they told everybody to wear a shade of brown.
Yeah.
Again, verify these these facts by looking it up online or looking up on Facebook. But rest in peace, rest in heaven.
Man, rest in peace.
To
shout
Omaha,
out to his family,
to Omaha's brother.
We lost a up and coming legend, and like I said, to all those his friends, family, people who loved him. Hey, prayers to y'all, prayers to us, because like I said, he definitely shaped the city through his lens. So definitely respect.
Definitely through his lens. I like that.
Yeah.
All right, Omar. This has been episode 8. Thanks for tuning in. I'm Jason.
I'm Brandon.
Peace.
Peace.